And we are live. Kevin Reed. I did not know your last name until today. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who think your name is Max
Max, yeah. I've gotten that.
because of your Instagram name. But it's not Max, it's Kevin. And is it, you call it a company?
Yeah, I got an LLC.
So your company is Wooder Designs. Actually, if I was more prepared, I wouldn't have to do this. But I've got these just
Yeah.
as a quick. Oh, there's some green screen going on with the blue ones for some reason, but we got the white ones in there. Wooder Designs. And what brings us here tonight is fly bikes. Let's be real. Fly bikes and everything that just happened with the tire wedgie. Is that the official name for this guy?
Yeah, that's what I was labeling, I guess.
I gotta grab mine. Didn't grab it yet. Sorry, anyone, for if I feel ill prepared. I was just riding, and Canadian wildfire smoke affects your brain. So, anyways, fly bikes in the tire wedgie, which is this thing right here, and basically, what I wanted to talk a little bit about with this is, for one, what is this thing?
What is it?
Yeah, tell me about this thing. What is this? For people who have no idea.
It's a wedge, two-piece wedge. It slides on a rail. Um, it'll center your tire relative to the frame to the tire,
Mm-hmm.
and then the sliding one will tighten the chain as tight as you want it to keep the wheels steady when you tighten everything down.
Yeah.
Um, the problem I was having was with tight brake setups, and you probably understand this. Like the best method we do is to put it upside down and slam on the brakes to get it centered.
Mm.
And then tighten everything down from there. But then your brakes are only as good as or your centering is only as good as the brakes could ever
Right.
be. So this allowed me to have a repeatable position to put it in the center to adjust the brakes to, and then now my brakes work a little bit better.
Which makes total sense, and it's a consistency thing where this thing is going to center your wheel every single time the same way, which you're talking about repeatability. So for anyone who might not totally grasp this, tire goes in this channel, then this goes into where some people shove a tire lever or a wrench or lots of things. And then you could push down on this part to push your wheel backward because you're pushing it against. I mean, I guess you could do it on the chainstay or the seat stay, right?
Yeah, either, and that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like,
so wherever you have it, this pushes against the bridge of the chainstay or the seat stay, and it pushes your wheel backwards, and then you're centered, and your chain is as tight as you want it to be, which.
and your chain stays and seat stays are usually tapered anyway,
Uh-huh.
so it all just centers itself.
Which is amazing, and like other genres of bicycling, people care a lot about wheel dishing and making sure everything is perfectly centered. But like in BMX, I feel like people just, especially people who ride street and they don't care if their wheels are super true. They're just like, close enough, whatever. So it's like,
It's spokes on one side.
mm-hmm. So like something like this, you put this in there, it takes away any kind of, all right, I gotta pull back and to the side and go back and forth. It just push it down, tighten, tighten, done. Which is
Yeah.
cool. So Fly, like what happened with Fly with this? So I don't know the full story. Give me the rundown.
Which version is that one?
Oh,
Does that be what?
we were gonna get there because I saw a number online. This one is V27.
27? All right, yeah. Um, well, I think it was like Christmas 2022. I just made the first prototype, this big thing.
Jeez.
and it was just real basic. And I made a little video talking to the same 30 people that I think I usually talk to, you know, and then it blew up overnight. I was like, what is going on? You know? So then I just kept messing with it, making it better and better. And the versioning number is just the Fusion 360 file version number. So basically, as many times as you hit save with changes. But it's like a pseudo serial number. So around then, by like 27, I think that was a PET G one. We're messing with different materials, and then not too long after that, at some point, Fly hit me up to make a couple for their warehouse, for their assembly line and stuff, and told me they had 3 different sizes, and I made them all 4 sizes, I think, and then made an in-between one. And during that, I was testing with a TPU, and then realized that was just the better way to go forward. I had a box full of like 25 of those or so, and was just gonna write them off, honestly. You know, like I was just gonna make these new ones and go forward with that. But yeah, that happened, and they all sold out in a couple days, and they still work. They're pretty specific to BMX size. I mean, it's a 20 by 2.3 is gonna be perfect, or 2.4. You know.
Yeah, this one says 2.25.
Little specific.
Right. So like, you made these for Fly. Did you make them with the intent just to be used in the warehouse, or were they going to sell them too, or?
I understood it was they wanted them for themselves.
Gotcha.
He said, like, we make bike maintenance videos and stuff, and we'll video it and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. And I put their logo on it, and they were pumped about that. And I think that's the coolest. That's maybe my favorite thing of the 3D print is like being able to customize this stuff for people, and not just pump out the same exact one each time. You know.
Right. I mean, even like with this thing, you put my name on the top of the quarter pipe, which is
that was some graffiti font that I figured out how to vectorize and extrude it. That was cool.
It's so cool. So, real quick for somebody who was in the chat that didn't hear the explanation for this thing, it's 2 pieces because this goes into the back tire and then this presses down, and it's a wedge, so it gets bigger and it presses down, pushing your wheel back to whatever desired chain tension that you want. So Fly had you make these, and then they hit you up like last year. Is that or early?
Ago.
Oh, a month ago? Okay.
It was pretty quick turnaround.
Gotcha. So you made them, and I remember you posting, maybe it was stories or something. I remember seeing one of these with the Fly logo on it, and it was like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And then this week, Fly posted a video of them using it, and then some pictures, and now it's just everywhere.
It was pretty cool. Well, before that, Montana Ricky and Jeff posted that little reel, and that really kickstarted it, honestly.
Really? So
the day before.
I hadn't seen that. So it all happened kind of like right in line with each other.
Yeah.
Dang, I hadn't seen that.
You didn't see Ricky's?
Huh.
It was just him and Jeff hanging out and showing how it worked, you know, and that was cool. That was like the perfect little plug.
Yeah. And then Fly
Jeff.
posts. What's that?
Because I sent Jeff one a while ago.
Dude, Jeff, like, when he's like, oh, this is precious. Like, he loves this thing.
That's awesome. I'll send him a new one.
So.
A few I gotta send out.
So, basically, you told me that overnight, like, your entire stock of these sold out?
Yeah, like 25 of them or so, you know, but basically overnight, but probably within 24 hours.
That is so cool.
And it's cool because the material cost, what's it, like 30-40 cents or something like that, you know what I mean? That part of it's pretty cool, you know. I spent way more than that on the machines, but
right. Well, I mean, it's that whole old meme thing that you see of like the giant ship that's motor's broken, they can't figure out how to fix it, so they call up this old guy, and he just walks in there and like does one thing, and then it just works again, and then they're like, oh, how much do you charge? And it's like some outrageous number, and he's like, well, you're not paying me for the 30 seconds it took me to fix this thing. You're paying me for the knowledge of a lifetime of figuring out and knowing how to fix it. And it's like, in that case, it might take 30 cents to make this, but you've refined all the way up to, I think I saw the one was 47. Yeah.
That's the one. I'm gonna make a bunch of 47s.
That's so sick. So you've
20.
refined it. What's that?
I made a bunch of 27s. I think 27s were what I mostly mailed out.
Gotcha. Yeah. So 27
Yeah, 27.
to 47, and now, I mean, from the one I saw your story or post where you were showing a different material.
Yeah, so these new ones, TPU, like the bar ends,
Yeah.
the rubbery stuff. So it's just
It
this
just
allows.
flexes a little bit.
Well, the big problem was, I think around Christmas, I did sell a few in Christmas, and I got a little ahead of myself, and I made these out of hips. Um, it's typically used as like a dissolvable material for supports and stuff. But in limonene, it's not water soluble or anything. It's red plastic party cups, recycled red plastic party cups. I thought it would be a good material, but it's pretty brittle, and people broke these, and I replaced them for them.
Oh, okay.
Maybe got a couple more to replace, but that was a choice on my end. So I was messing with all these different materials and nylons and ABS and PETG, PLA, tough PLA. All the ones that went out were probably tough PLA. That was a good material. I think yours is a PETG.
Yeah.
That's recycled bottles.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That was important to me in the beginning. That the recycled material, the filament's not that great, and I learned my lesson with that PETG. That was a real pain to print. But this
Gotcha.
stuff's a little harder too, but it's dense, but it's flexible. It's so tough. Like you can't break this stuff.
That's sick. I definitely feel like if I ripped on this, it would snap in half.
Oh yeah, totally. I broke a bunch of them just in my hand just to see how strong they were. Like I broke one of almost every material, I think, on purpose.
I mean, yeah, quality testing.
That one, it'll definitely break. If you try to stretch it over a big old tire, like you got a 4 or 5 or something, it'll probably break.
My rear tire's a 225, so hopefully.
Yeah, you're good. And it'll work on a 235, 24. If you're careful with it and stuff.
Oh, I gotcha.
Those more rigid ones they don't work as well like smaller sizes because it wants to bend a little too much. So I started making small. I made a small one for my trail bike. This was like a 195. But then realized I didn't need to. I'm like, this works. This worked on a 16-inch, as I started throwing it on every wheel I had, and I'm like, the way it just bends and wraps around the tire, like I got a 29er, and I just, you just shove it in there. It's all under compression, so as long as it's straight, it's good.
That's really cool, man. So I don't know, it's been really awesome to see the response. I sent you that one screenshot of that kid local to me. His name's Storm. Like, there's no way that kid ever would have known that you and I had ever talked before or anything like that, but he shared the fly post right as we were sitting here having the conversation about doing this. I'm like, man, it's cool to see it kind of blow up and spread the way that it is. And I don't know, I'm kind of, that's what made me want to talk to you and learn more about these things and just kind of what you do in general. I mean, you literally have your printer going, it's running.
It's gonna finish one while we're on here. That'll be cool.
Did you do that on purpose?
Nope.
Oh, okay, so I want to buy that one.
That one?
Yeah.
Specifically? All right.
Yes.
That makes sense. That's yours.
It only makes sense. So yeah, it's a crazy thing that, like, it's a simple problem that BMX riders have, and just, this is like my least favorite part of working on my bike is getting my wheel tension in the right spot, or chain tension correct, as well as my wheel in the right spot, centered. And like, Alienation makes those circle jerks, which make it so it's repeatable and everything, but
I like those.
they're sweet and they're awesome. At the same time, like, if you're between a size or you don't have them or anything like that, you can use something like this to get it just in the right spot. Or like, I only have one set right now, so my trails bike, boom, easy mode, and it's just such a simple but elegant thing.
Well, and also we got pretty similar riding styles. You're way better than me, but like you drop into ice picks really hard. Like your wheel just shifts. Like there's not really much you can do about it. Like it's just
Yeah,
so that's part of the repeatability. Like drop 10 ice picks and your wheel shifts a tiny bit. Now your brakes suck, and then you're not on manuals and stuff. So
yeah, yeah, and I mean it was a little bit funny to see some of the negative comments on those posts because it was like,
yeah,
you guys realize that this isn't like a solid gold thing that costs $1 million. You just toss it in your bag and use it.
yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. Like,
Well,
how
the
do you?
pricing, it's not, yeah, it's not about the money, The pricing was actually kind of hard to come up with and just kind of pick that $20 and stuck with it and it worked. But really, like, I think 3D prints, when I see them online, like, they're usually like models and stuff and they're really artistic and they'll sell for $100 or
Oh wow!
So, and I think that's too, I mean, no one's going to buy that for $100. I wouldn't
Right?
buy it, you know? Um, I'm trying to think of things like Shapeways would be really like the ideal solution. Just have them produce, ship out, but they're going to want $120 for that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't buy it, So
yeah. So like,
that's the kind of the where you get stuck with 3D printing. You get just a tiny amount of manufacturing ability, but not enough to like really keep up with something like that.
yeah.
So
Well, I
so
mean,
get into some different options
and we can get to that part of the conversation too, where it's like, where do you see this going? If you think about it, I mean, every single bike shop should have three of these.
I'd like to
Um,
get them. I'd like to get them to the bike shops for sure. I've had a lot of them hit me up already. I maybe didn't realize how many shops would hit me up and so many messages. Like I'll get back to all the shops and stuff, but couldn't answer everybody in the last couple of days.
I get it, man, and I don't know. It's just such a simple thing that I could see everybody having one of these just out of the pure ease and simplicity of how easy it makes actually doing that. So like, have you thought about at all where you could take this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to talk to people and getting advice. Like it's all kind of unexpected, so it wasn't necessarily the goal. But
Hmm.
now, it's here. Ride the wave.
Yeah, absolutely. Get as many of these things made as you can, as quick as you can, for the people.
Looking into patents, maybe like that's a long, expensive road, but that's something I'm slowly kind of trying to talk to people about.
Yeah, dude, I'd be doing
Only
that.
thing is
Like,
probably just making them. Like right now, I just want to be able to make a bubble, to be able to get them out to people.
hmm
Um,
do you only have one machine?
I got this one too. That'll probably turn into a. So these are like these cheap enders I buy.
Hmm.
Both of these were like a used Ender 3 for like $100. But my good one's down right now. Here, let's.
I love that we're mobile.
That's the sad state of my bar end machine right now.
Oh no,
It's
that
all right.
that looks like hell.
That one's got to get put back together.
Yeah, yeah, man.
This,
I would be if I were you. I'd be looking into like patenting this thing yesterday and getting it. I mean, think about it. All of the places it could end up with these things: bike shops, people, factories that make bikes. So many different options and places. It's awesome.
it's been really cool. Like, yeah, all the positivity and stuff, and it's totally unexpected, but
Well,
really
I
cool.
mean, we kind of talked a little bit
That's
about that.
yeah. I mean, the comments are valid. I mean, they're true. Like people. I don't know. That's not the right word, but it's
If
validating.
was that?
Validating. It's
Oh
a good
yeah,
validation. It's cool.
yeah. I mean, for people who are like, oh, chain tensioners or whatever, it's like, okay, so don't buy it. Like,
I
just because you have chain tensioners doesn't mean that this doesn't
got
have to
chain
exist.
testers too. Well,
Right.
Jeff and I talk about this like it's the chain tensioners. I almost think that the name is not correct. You know, maybe they should be called axle locks or something. No,
Hmm.
who tensions their chain with chain tensioners.
Oh yeah, good
You
point.
know, like it's a micro adjustments down by the axle to adjust something way out here,
Yeah.
adjust adjust it out here, tighten it down there. You know, like I use the chain tensioners to just lock it afterwards, after the axle nuts are tightened, then you tighten that the internal ones or whatever you got for chain tensioners, just kind of tighten them down, and that's your lock. It's like those alienation
Hmm.
slam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, if you got tight brakes, I mean, that's never worked for me. I don't know. That's never a good idea. Trying to get everything straight with the little ten, chain tensioners down at the end.
Right, and just the same thing we keep talking about with repeatability of something like this, in that when you have those dialed brakes, you want to get your wheel perfectly centered and adjust to that so that
Yeah,
everything's set up. And I think about, when you were talking about, oh, if my wheel moves, then things suck. For me and anybody who uses dual lower cables, you can set it up wrong. And when you're talking about pulling your brakes and have it going from there, like if you use a dual lower cable, you can set it up so that your brake pads aren't at the center.
yeah,
So if you do
yeah.
that and then you tighten it when you pull the brakes, well, then your wheel could be totally off,
Right.
anyways.
Well, maybe that's the missing part of what I wasn't explaining about. Like, yeah, the dual over cables. I think that probably makes the difference there. Yeah, because you can get pretty far off centered.
Exactly. So having something like this to get your wheel in the right spot, and then okay, now I adjust my brakes from here because this is centered, and it makes sense. And with the way that Jeff talks about these things, it's like it changed his life.
Well, he's got a good idea too. Like we're talking about making like gyro spacers for adjusting it, like so you can the lower bottoms, you can just pull everything tight. You'll have a spacer in there. Everything tight as possible. Tighten everything down. Pull the spacer out. That's your pad spacing.
Mmm, that's a
Because I
good thought.
always pulled everything really tight and then backed them off a little bit. So they were always just a little bit off. You know, that's like the missing piece to get everything like perfect. You know, like just pull everything super tight, tighten it down, pull the thing out, and your bottoms are perfect.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I always just loosen my barrel adjusters on each side a little bit and then get everything as close as I can. And it's never perfect.
Right. Yeah.
It never ends up being, but yeah, too funny. So like, it didn't start with this. Wooder Designs didn't start with the tire wedgie. Where did it start?
Um, I guess with the bar ends probably. I just bought a printer kit. I bought a Voron printer kit and built it last year. Um, I didn't want to buy the enders right away. I wanted to buy the kit and learn how to build it. I wanted to play with all the different materials and stuff and see the properties. And TPU is just awesome. Like I think that was one of the ones I was most excited about. It just seems so functional.
Yeah.
Probably the only thing you can print that you can't break. You know, it's a little flexible, but that's the toughness.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
not rigid, but you print it thick enough. It's dense. You know, it's not.
oh yeah, these bar ends, like, dude, pretty. They're stout. That's for sure. So, did you have any knowledge of 3D printing before that, or did it
Well,
all
yeah,
start with that?
well, yeah, so I've been a 3D modeler for like my whole career. Like
Okay.
I went to high school. I learned CAD in high school. Drew a BMX bike in 3D. This was like '99 or something like that. Like AutoCAD 12 or 14, whenever like the first like 3D visual 3D orbiting kind of like modern 3D kind of stuff came out with AutoCAD, and it was just right when I started. And like they showed me a couple commands. I drew a whole bike. My teacher saw it, freaked out, got me got me a scholarship, and put my thing on a, like art exhibits and stuff. And I got a scholarship, went to school, and what thought I was gonna do like mechanical stuff like that. But then just fell into civil. I like civil stuff. It's really fun.
What does that mean?
Well, I work in mining, so we reclaim um, uh, toxic mines, So abandoned toxic mines, they're really long projects, 20 plus years, but they go in, find all the toxic waste, dig it up, bury it, cap and cover, and so it's pretty cool. That's cool work. I like doing that.
How
So I'm a
does
earthworks modeler for my job.
I was gonna say, how does 3D modeling translate to doing that? Like,
Well, whatever I draw becomes a file that goes into a big dozer, and they 3D print the earth with my files.
wait,
it's
what?
That's what they do. The with the dozers and everything on that large scale, like it's all GPS dozers. Then they kind of run themselves, so it's almost like an army of little 3D printers out there moving the dirt around to where it's pretty wild.
You're blowing my mind right here. I'm gonna need you to dumb it down for me a little bit because I don't even understand. Like,
Big stockpiles, ditches, roads, and all that. You know.
and you're modeling the thing itself and then putting a program in for them to do something
Yeah,
on it.
model the landscape, model the groundwork, and then when it's done, it's just a big surface file. And then they have their dozers are hooked up to like automated GPS machines and stuff, and they halfway drive themselves. The dozer lifts the steer skid for it and stuff like that. It'll
Dude, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's pretty cool. And then, like I just kind of like rode the wave. I was just the right age, I think. And, when I was coming up through that, the guys before me were a little bit hackish, I guess, with their methods, and they had to do what they had to do. And by that time, when the GPS dozers were coming out, you could start to see their mistakes. You could see like the triangles in the dirt, and you could see the folds and the seams, and no one's having that. No one's paying millions of dollars for that to be, you know, that's
Yeah.
big money construction. No one wants that. So that was kind of like how I got recruited, was to come in and make clean looking surfaces that the dozers won't freak out on.
It's so insane. I never like when you say, "Oh, my job is like modeling." I'm like, "Okay, cool. He's making 3D models for things for companies like shoes or, products and things." No, I'm actually modeling the earth and then
Subsurface stuff too. The subsurface stuff is the most fun. Like I get a lot of underground mine maps, 100-year-old maps that they're like drawn on linen and paper, and they go and scan them and they send them to me, and then we model it, make big 3D models of like what all the underground work. Literally Minecraft for adults.
what the hell? I didn't even know this existed, let alone like that. Okay, so I mean, connecting all these dots in my head right now. But just thinking about it, you could go to art school. Like think about this for some people. Did it just finish?
Yeah.
Someone asked earlier if that was a grow tent that you have a 3D printer in.
Well, it does say grow on it, right?
That's why I was like, what?
Comgrow. That's the company I bought the from. It's not the first person that said that. That's funny. It is Colorado, I
Well, I didn't make it as a grower, so I started making 3D printer stuff, and it just worked out. Okay, I got paused for someone said you should build a sub to visit the Titanic, Kevin.
Limit is 5 inches.
Yeah, can't build a sub. Sorry. Let's see that thing. Oh, you gotta clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, it has like a little skirt around it because this stuff's actually heavy, and I was having problems with these falling.
Mm,
The other material wasn't, so I got a cuticle cutter and just cut this shit off.
gotcha. But anyways, so like any kid could go to art school for 3D modeling and learn how to model things. Whether it might be like you could even go into character modeling for Marvel movies or something like that.
Kind of what I thought I wanted to do.
That's like the conventional route of 3D modeling as a career for people who go to a school like that. And now, like, the world we live in 2023, you can model your bike as a kid, go get this scholarship, and then end up modeling tunnels and caves and stuff from 100 years ago for people to come in and reclaim. Oh, hell yeah. That's sick. Which is so cool, and it just kind of gives a little bit of perspective maybe to someone who's listening to just realize like there's a lot of unconventional ways of supporting yourself out there.
Yeah, that one's yours.
Nice. It's really good how you 3D printed that black name in there.
Yeah. Dual color.
Man, so crazy to think about that. So you started Water with design and modeling experience, and the bar ends were step one, and you kind of like where does it go from the very beginning?
Yeah, I was always following 3D printing to be into modeling, and it always kind of sucked, honestly. And until recently, they got good enough, and I think a lot of it was patents. The industry's kind of in a weird spot. Like everybody's got patents, and it just jams the whole thing up. So you can't sell certain types. This is maybe about as good as they could sell for a while. But you can buy a kit and build your own. So I did that, build a better machine, because I felt like these Vorons are finally good enough for. I don't want to mess around with rails and stuff. But lost where I was going with that.
Just kind of talking about how things started.
Yeah, the bar ends, I guess. So then,
Bar end.
Started making like these plain looking ones.
Did you start with TPU?
Yeah, that was the only thing that. Well, now I think I did try PLA first, and then realized that was not.
Yeah.
Work. But then started doing multicolor ones.
Oh, that's super cool. I remember seeing all of this because So I remember seeing all of this because I looked this up. We first interacted on the internet in 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've been chatting for a long time, and it's just cool to talk to you. Lip Lords was one of the first things that got me on Instagram. Really, people were telling me, "You're Lip Lord." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
That's so sick. Yeah, I kind of suck for falling out of posting on that, but life's crazy.
That was you pumping people up a long time ago, right from the beginning. I always thought that was really cool of you. You were pumping everybody up, and you kind of brought back that style, made it cool again.
Thanks. So that was 2018, and so I started following you based on that because I think, did you do a custom upper gyro cable setup at one point?
Yeah, it's still. So I.
Man, you're just all right here.
Yeah, it's my man cave. Brought everything down here. But yeah, this is. I got this bike. So I was on the list for a Layered for a little while, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
He told us all, "Hey, I don't know what's going on with my suppliers." So I called Mike at DEF CON 4, Mike Maloney, I think.
Okay.
Sorry if I got that wrong. Dutch Bikes, and asked him about doing this internal.
You might have to go on the other side of the light so that the window isn't in the background. Oh, that works too. So for anyone listening to this on any kind of listening platform, you're probably going to want to watch it because there's a lot of visual stuff going on.
So I always wanted this idea, this internal routing. I think a lot of people probably thought of that before, but
yeah.
I wanted to do it because I wanted it to be. I had all this scaffolding on here, all those removable tabs and all this stuff. I had carbon fiber tubes running down.
Oh yeah.
Making with the liners through there and stuff. But this puts it all in the frame. It's super solid. It's a little bit heavier, but.
So did you ever have the same, did you ever do my custom upper cable at one point?
Oh, how you loop the cable.
Yeah.
Or something. I haven't tried that yet, but
do you use the NARPs on your gyro though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was remembering. So it was that long ago, I remember you doing sit down ice pick stuff, and then at some point you had your upper cable set up, and I was like, "Yo, that's sick." So I remember back then, 2018, getting stoked, and so I kind of was like following. When did you start exactly? Wait, isn't it on something? It's on one of these, right? Maybe not. But when did you start doing this stuff?
Oh, I guess last year. It's only really only been like a year.
Yeah, so I've been following you from the beginning with this, and it's been really cool to see the journey because I remember bar ends popping up, and then you've done other stuff too, right?
Yeah. Well, the stem was probably my favorite.
The stems are sick. Jeff also says repeatedly all the time, the best stem I've ever ridden in my life.
Also a brake, all about the brake stiffness. Like
Yeah.
made these tabs extra thick in the vertical because almost every gyro plate I have flexes.
Yeah.
So this keeps it um, stiff. But then also you have enough threads there that you can thread down your barrel adjuster all the way, not have it stick out the bottom. Because if it sticks out the bottom, it limits your gyro.
These guys right here, if you let them go out the bottom, your gyro will hit it when you pull. How convenient that I just have this gyro sitting here and like that. So yeah, you and did
Got
the
a few of
bar?
those speed. But that was something I've been drawing like stems and sprockets for a long time. Like really wanting to do that kind of stuff, and it's just man, it's really difficult, especially got a lot of money. It's super expensive getting that kind of stuff made. Got like 6 of them made. Sent them out. Jeff bought the first one.
That's awesome.
Jeff was pumped on it before they even finished.
He's awesome like that. So did the bar ends come before the stems?
Man, I don't remember.
I feel like the stems might have come first, but I
I think
can't
stems
remember either.
first.
Either way though, so you did a stem, like you've got this design experience. You did stem. I remember you also did pedals,
Yeah. Got some pedal bodies.
which is cool because that's like a take on the grandstand, right?
Yeah, it's a Grandstand V2 clone, so it really needs their axles and things. So it's not really something you can really sell or anything, but you'd have to buy the pedal. But those pedals are cheap, buy them $20 or something like that. They're pretty cheap.
But it's just another thing that you've made, and it's cool to see you making all of these things. And what I mentioned to you last night was like you were talking about how it's like crazy, see it going crazy right now and like riding the wave and stuff. And it's like this is what happens when you just love doing something and you're consistent with it, and you just keep going until you reach a point where like something just happens where it like takes off and you're like, holy crap, I never expected any of this. But it's like it was always gonna happen because you're just doing this because you like it and making
Right.
stuff that you're stoked on.
Right. And that's the thing, just do what you like, you know.
Which
And
is so rad. And I don't know, it makes it like pure a little bit whenever you know like
well, I
you.
got a lot of inspiration from Matty, yeah, at the yeah.
Oh yeah, making. I didn't mean that as a pun. God damn it.
I always liked what he did. I saw, he was making pads and they weren't that popular, but I could tell he was just pumped on it and he was going to do it no matter what. So, and I bought a bunch of stuff from him. I liked it. And then to see him kind of take off, like that was awesome, And
Right. I
it
never.
was the same thing. You could just do it because you like it, And then
Absolutely, and I never knew that the yeah was like a smaller thing that this one dude was making all of it because I saw it all at Ray's. So like
oh,
there's a
okay.
whole case of pads and all that stuff at Ray's, and you see people with them and you're like, "Dang, like that's sick. This is cool," but I never would have expected it would be just one guy making every single one of those pads that I saw. And then when I found that out, like just like with you, I'm like, all right, we need to do a podcast. I want to learn more, and it's sick to see people like you guys doing this stuff. So it was always gonna happen for you. And like you made the tire wedgie. Did you make this with intent to eventually like sell them, or did you just make it as a thing for you?
I kind of just made it for me. Like it's just a thought I had for a really long time, really. And it seemed like a hard model to it's simple but hard, like it didn't quite make sense in my head. Like I couldn't fully visualize it,
Hmm.
and that didn't, how I was going to make it, like why even draw it if I don't know how I'm going to make it kind of thing,
Yeah.
but then, man, I had a 3D printer. I'm like, let's draw this.
Right. And so I mean, my brain's just going to like alternative ways of making something like this. You know, you got injection molding and things like that, but can you do something that's like TPU with those other manufacturing methods?
Yeah, you can injection mold TPU. Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
This is the molds are really expensive.
Oh, yeah, it's like 10,
Um,
15, 20 grand depending on what you're doing.
yeah, yeah, and I'm not sure about that one, like how much that would be. Like the model's done, the model's pretty good, so it wouldn't be a bunch of prototyping. That's what the 3D printing's for.
Yeah, it's just molds are crazy expensive and then you got to deal with all that stuff. So, yeah, to do it yourself is another thing too. Is like you send one of those out and you people are stoked on it. You're like, I had my hands on that and I sent it to you. And that's there's pride there.
Go there one at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything else besides the pedals, the stem, the bar ends? What else have you made?
So I got these things too. This is unfinished print, but this is some IGUS bushing material
Is that
that
a
you can.
bottom bracket?
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't finished this idea yet, but I do have in my bike. I have a 3D printed bottom bracket, like no real bearings. They're just bushings.
Whoa, how does that hold up for you?
It's fine. Like they put them in like industrial equipment and stuff. Like I don't think we're gonna be able to break them. It's a little bit
Whoa.
more stiction. Like it holds the cranks kind of in place, and
Mm.
then but as soon as you start pedaling, like you don't feel that friction. It's only off the beginning, so it's kind of cool. Like it just kind of holds them there, and you can still kickflip sometimes. And
So what you're saying is, for all these park riders out here who don't want their tail whips, their pedals to spin on their tail whips and things like that, it's perfect and it's lighter.
it can never break. I mean, they're like unbreakable. That's like,
Dude, how do they work with crank flips?
eh.
Not good. Okay,
It's
I
eh.
I can't ride those in my park bike. Actually, I can't ride those on a trails bike. I love doing crank flips at the trails. Sorry, I can't ride those.
I don't have it on my trail bike either.
Fair enough.
On the skate park bike, it's kind of cool.
Just think that's so rad. So like you're doing bottom bracket. It's just cool to see the development of something like this and the fact that this is even possible. Because think, in the beginning it, of BMX, even, there's companies like Profile who started because of a guy who's making a thing, or even DK. I, I don't know the exact history on that, but it started with a guy making a thing in his garage or wherever he made it at. But like, you're not gonna be making pedals unless you're gonna machine pedals out of metal.
Right.
And I don't know. It's just cool that it even
That all seems
exists.
so far out of reach.
Exactly.
It's, for sure, that's the best thing about the 3D printing, just allowing people to do that kind of stuff.
So crazy. Some people are already like, this stuff's crazy. Brandon Kern, I don't know if you recognize that name or not, but he's been in the chat the whole time. He's like, yo, bush bottom brackets are sick. I run acetal, Ace TAL. That's how you spell that. Delrin with roller thrust bearings.
Okay, similar.
Whoa. He also asked earlier. Sorry, I missed this, Brandon. He said, "Are you planning on entering the carbon fiber filament world? Any recommendations on the best carbon fiber materials?"
I don't have many recommendations on that. I actually haven't printed any um, of that. I know a lot of people do. I'm not that. It's a little gimmicky, maybe. I think for what I wanted to make.
Hmm.
it's not really carbon fiber that goes
Yeah.
like as across the part. It's just powder. You know, it really just makes it lighter and makes it stick less. You know, it makes it easier to print. It actually makes it weaker. Um,
Interesting.
but it's carbon fiber, and you can say carbon fiber. You know, but um, really with all the materials, honestly, I think PLA is really up there for being like the cheapest, easiest one. Like it can be up there, and the
Gotcha.
other stuff's not. I don't know.
I gotcha.
But yeah, eventually, I don't really have a need for it, I guess, um, until I do. You know,
Yeah, that makes sense. I've
it's really stiff. It's really rigid. Like if I need a rigid part or something, like pedal bodies, maybe you want a little toughness there too. I think the tough PLA on the pedal bodies is probably the best.
Are you running those carbon fiber brakes?
I don't, man. I want them. I talk to him all the time. I want to get a pair from him, but I haven't been buying bike parts and haven't been messing with my bike much.
I gotcha. I mean, I think it's really cool just to talk about like the BMX maker community.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of
totally.
what it is. I hadn't really thought of like the right label for it. But then it clicked in my head, Adam Savage with his Tested YouTube channel, he's always talking about makers. Oh, that's what they are. They're BMX makers.
Speakers. Well, yeah, the carbon fiber brakes, like you said, that's Maj, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
they're Maj. Okay, so I want to get everybody's screen names right, and I don't know
yeah.
everybody's real names all the
The
way. But my
the other
another
Maj.
one of my buddies is in Sweden. He makes road bike parts, and he uses a lot of that carbon fiber nylon. For he makes a ton of stuff, a
That's
bunch of adapters and stuff. Probably a quarter of his bike is stuff he made for it, adapters and spacers and things. And, that's really cool to see too. And he's got the same machine, like we talk all the time, so that's pretty cool. The Matty, yeah, Matty, yeah,
yeah. He's one outside of the 3D printing space that's awesome to see as well. And then you just talk. What?
Zach, of
Yeah,
course, Zach.
right. Zach Gerber.
Zach kind of pioneered it all for us, I think. The
Really?
three, I think so. Like he was the first one to like get some like attention for it in BMX, I think.
Well, there was another dude in Ohio, Johnny. He was making stuff on YouTube
Oh, I
years
did.
before Zach even was, and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was like riding it and testing it. Like he made a front hub, he made a stem, I think he made a sprocket or something. He even made his own grips.
yeah, yeah. I watched all his videos too, and I got a resin printer because that's what he was using.
Ah,
I didn't like that thing much at all, but yeah, he made a hub shell and wrote it, and he made a sprocket. I made a sprocket, and tried to ride it, and the thing exploded. Do you remember that? I remember that.
that's funny. It's just really cool to see that there's this like community of people that 20 years ago this really couldn't exist in the same way. Yeah, you've always had people who made frames and bars and things like that. You got your Laird, you got the other smaller White House. There's a bunch of those. Work BMX with John Quartz. There's a bunch of those guys who you could call those guys makers too.
Paragon.
What's that?
Paragon.
Paragon. That's
Trying,
another one.
trying to remember all my friends I talked to on there.
Yeah, well, that one's sweet because they're making sprockets and what else are
But
they making?
some pretty cool bar ends and stems.
Yeah, it's just cool to see all of that because throughout
Derek,
history,
Derek Gerard makes some stems and sprockets. Like those are cool too. I got a couple of his parts, or one of his parts.
so there's this maker community in BMX, and then throw 3D printing into the mix, and you got all these cool people who are making stuff for themselves and their friends to ride, and I think that's such a cool thing that it can even exist.
Yeah, I mean, I printed some of Zach's pedals. I kind of maybe started there. Printed his stuff.
Yeah, it's cool to see his stuff when he can find time away from the other stuff he makes all the time to do the BMX stuff. But like he's got so many smart ideas. That bottom bracket buddy thing,
Oh yeah,
like that's
that's cool.
genius.
That was awesome.
Such genius, and he's just throwing it up for anybody to print if they want to.
Yeah, he's real into that, or seems like he's real into that Thingiverse free crowd. Like that,
Yep.
give it to everybody kind of crowd, which is cool. I like that too.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a cool thing to see.
People have asked me for the model file for the tool, but not just yet. Maybe I'll offer it for download or something soon. But
Patent it first, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
buy. You have to
So
pay like whatever to download it. And
it's a little risky for me because I haven't sent it to anyone yet. So
yeah, I would hold off on that. It's scary, just because. Yeah, we don't even talk about those types of things.
well, it was kind of funny the fly post. I saw some of those comments right away. They were like, "You already stole my man's tool already?" Like,
No, he made it for us.
but that's cool. BMX, it's kind of self regulating that way. Like that, people would blow a fuse if that happened.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, what do you think future of this like maker space in BMX looks like?
I don't know. I think the, just how it limits you to not having a massive manufacturing capabilities kind of keeps it where it's at for me right now. And maybe this is about it for most people, but this is, a few machines, making some of your own stuff, making other people's stuff. Um, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like the tech, who knows what the technology is going to do? Like the machines are getting crazy. Those patents are running out. They're starting to sell machines that are really good now. Like that Bamboo Labs that just came out not too long ago. It's like $1,500 or something, but it's like better than it's the same price of what I paid for my kit, but it's the same machine, but probably better with multi-material and all that. It's like you just want to buy something and go, just get that.
Yeah. So, like, with the current capabilities of what people can buy 3D printing wise, like, what's kind of where's the line right now for what you could feasibly do?
Line how and what in like what
Just
way?
like, I mean, you're not like how that Johnny dude in Ohio made a stem and he was riding it for a while. Like how far we're not to the point where you can 3D print a stem, are we?
It's never they'll so the 3D printing stuff's never going to be as strong or as good as a metal piece,
Yeah.
like, and it's never going to, like, the pedals, like they're never going to be as strong or as good at it can never be as good as like the injection molded polycarbonate
Mm.
bodies, like it's impossible. Um, but it's 90%, 95% of it, that's good enough, and you can make your own, and pedal bodies make sense because the pins wear out, and just print a new set and got new fresh pins. And the stem, yeah, I don't some of his parts, I was pretty surprised he got away with some of those. Um,
And he was doing legit stuff.
and that resin is different. It's a bit stronger. Like that's good stuff. But yeah, I don't know about running that for very long.
So maybe it's not that
It's
the
definitely a prototyping kind of thing still.
right. So maybe it's less of like what the extent of people are actually making as far as parts goes. It is more of like more people are making their own parts at home
Right.
in the
That's kind
future.
of
Does that
so
sound?
that's like I remember when with Zach's pedals, and there was some drama with that. Are you stealing money from BMX? And it's like you literally have to buy the pedals to to use his pedals. So
Yeah, right. You have to have
anything
the
except
spindles.
pedals.
Yeah.
I feel about these, like if I were to sell those, like people would have to buy the JC,
Oh yeah.
you're pretty much selling their parts more for them. So
Right. Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I could definitely see more and more people making their own stuff. And like I think what was pretty cool about the whole fly thing is that it's one of, if not the first time, it's definitely one of the first times that we're seeing a big mainstream BMX company, getting something 3D printed, albeit it's not a actual part, but it's a 3D printed thing from like a maker in the BMX space. And I think that, I don't know, like, do you see a world where that happens more often?
possibly, um, I mean, who yeah, who knows? I mean, it's there's only so many things you can make, but the possibilities of what you can make. only so many things you can make on a bike on a BMX bike, you
Yeah.
know. But you can make whatever you can imagine. So
Right.
people are gonna imagine.
Right. Well, I could see. be- It's tough because stuff like bar ends come from the molds and whatever that already exist. But maybe in the future there's a world where we see certain things that do get 3D printed, or we outsource to a American or whoever 3D printed BMX rider to make this small run of something.
Like so, as 3D printing as its main manufacturing process.
Potentially, I mean, I think there probably is already a lot of 3D printing prototyping going on in BMX.
Yeah, there's print farms and things where you can send them, print them. They can crank them out, but um, yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the 3D printing is building the machines themselves. You're printing the parts for the machines themselves, and that's kind of a lot of the fun of it. But
Mm,
when you can, and I think making something, printing something useful has been a struggle for everybody,
yeah.
really. And I kind of like this tool thing. I think it's more, well, in the bar ends, like I credit the material more than anything. Like it's kind of crazy we can print this stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I went to a 3D printer festival in down the street, like maybe like last month, and saw a bunch of machines and stuff, and other people were making stuff. And there's the coolest stuff I saw was other people making stuff out of TPU. There was a guy making purses and wallets, it's like fashion purses.
Wow.
And I showed him my bar, and like, hey, these like a year. Like showed him the busted up ones. This is like a year. And he's like, oh, cool, because I've had my wallet for a year. And of course there's nothing wrong with his wallet because it's he's not abusing it. But it's
Right.
like those things are never gonna fall apart either. And the fact that he can just print that stuff and sell them to fashion, at fashion prices, like that's wild.
Yeah, so maybe we see companies doing 3D printing like products that aren't BMX parts with someone like you maybe, or how like Zach was doing magnets for Little Devil, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool, and that's like I like that stuff because it's like the little custom things. Like that's the spirit of it all.
Right. They brought the Little Devil valve caps back. Zach made those. It's
That's
that's
cool.
it's so sick to see that. And I love that we have this community to do things like that in BMX.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
for sure. Yeah,
I
I
just
think
think it's
back in
cool.
the day it was just T-shirt companies were the small companies. That's about all you could do unless you want to spend thousands on getting sprockets and stems made.
Right, or you're the person with the knowledge to actually make something and you're cranking them out,
Yeah,
and that's just rare. I look at like RNC BMX in that example. It's just like this one guy with one machine cranking stuff out, designing it, making it, shipping it, doing everything. And that's wild to think about.
he does a lot of cool stuff too.
Yeah, I have the aluminum cranks right outside my door, just
Oh,
waiting on my pink eye to go away so I can film a video making them or putting them on.
oh man. Yeah, they're cool. I like those. Those titanium cranks were cool. Like I like what Ryan's doing too. Like that's it's kind of same deal. Like he seems like well, he was gone for a little while. Like he kind of popped up and had these cranks, and I'm like, man, buy them while you can. Who
Hmm.
knows? But he seems like he's pretty consistent now.
Yeah,
Crank this stuff.
it's really cool to see that, and just to see the different stuff that he's making, where he made those titanium ones, now he's doing these aluminum ones, 24 millimeter, and I don't know, it's cool to see. I just think this whole entire world of all of this stuff is interesting to learn about, so I love talking to people like you. And like, so what does your process, your design process look like? You think of the tire wedgie, and and how does that go? You said that you've been thinking about this for a long time, so you probably started a long time ago too, designing it in
Yeah,
your head.
it's just been well now. Like it's just been thoughts for that long. Like I didn't even try to draw it until last year. Um,
What does that process look like?
well, I have so many ideas that it was too far down the list really. But then once I started drawing, I got some software and I started drawing sprockets and stems and got all the stems things done that I wanted to do, and I got cool templates with that can change size and all that stuff. So when I was done with that, then started moving on to like all these other parts. Like I was drawing, draw the bottom bracket, draw a brake lever, and I got a bunch of little brake pieces I was working on, and then so I started to try to just draw like preliminary pieces, just so I had the files so I could remember
Oh yeah.
thoughts, and then I come back to it, and the wedge went quick. Like it was like I drew that in a couple hours, and then I printed it overnight, and I made that video like 5:30 in the morning. Like just here's this thing I made.
I remember the first one the video you posted of it.
and, but then yeah, that taking off made me really want to get it back, get to refining it and stuff, and so that all went pretty quick. It really from first drawing it to selling a few of them to people's like all within a month.
That's amazing.
It all happened really quick.
I feel like anything good like that is just makes sense happens very quickly. It seems like it. Well, maybe from the point of like getting it to that point of being able to get it out there,
Yeah.
and then it blowing up is like the people who realize there's a wave that they can ride the momentum of, keep it moving. And the other part of that too is like, this probably isn't work to you, is it?
What's that?
This probably isn't work to you, is it?
Oh no. Well, no, not in that sense.
It's work, but it's not work.
But I like my work too, so it's I'm lucky that way. I work from home, so I got my office upstairs, and then this stuff's in the basement, so I can do both. Kinda.
Yeah,
This is pretty passive.
that makes sense.
But yeah, it's been a little hard to concentrate on my real job the last couple of days. I had some deadlines. I still got some stuff I got to get out tomorrow, but
Oh man.
we'll get it.
Huh. I don't want to like reveal anything too soon, but Brandon's asking if you have any new products in the works.
Um,
Don't reveal anything too soon, but if there's anything you would want to talk about.
what's Brendan talking about? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. He just said, Kevin, any new products in the works?
Oh, not currently. Well, I need to fix that bar end machine, and I want to make some more bar ends. Like I was working on, like this is the stuff I was working on before it broke.
Oh, oh yeah, I remember those. Section 8 bar ends. How does that even work? Like, I have these Lip Lords ones, and they're two different colors, and it's like all one surface.
Tech Bike Co.
Yeah, Tech Bike.
I got some more colors with them coming.
How does this even work?
So it's all manual swaps. Like it's not automated. That's why these are taking me a while to make. But all the color changes, this prints down.
Yeah.
So all the color changes happen right away. So the
Mm.
first couple layers takes a while for the first couple layers, but then after that, you just let it run. And then there's some lettering on there. I got to do a filament swap there too, and then let the rest run,
Oh, these are green
and
screen.
then hope it doesn't die halfway through.
So, like, is it prompting you to switch because it
It'll
knows?
pause. Yeah, it's all in the code. It'll pause. You set all the colors in the software and stuff, and the way I have it now, it just pauses, so I can do it manually. And I built a little machine. It's a MMU multi-material unit, but what it does is it'll pull the filament out, switch, and then push filament back in, so it automates that swap.
Mm.
The TPU is just, and my machine, the one I built, it wasn't that great, and and it was just a lot easier to just do it by hand.
I
Um,
gotcha.
but once I can automate that, man, those will be going a lot quicker.
Yeah, so this one completely green screens.
So how do you feel about that Lip Lord versus Lip Lords? I actually like struggled with
Ooh.
that a little bit. I was like,
I hadn't really
it's not
thought about it.
it's not cocky if someone else calls you Lip Lord.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it because I'll be honest
If you
with
make
you.
that for yourself, I'd be like, bro.
Yeah, I definitely would not make that for myself.
So I struggled with that. I was like, should I add the S or not? I thought about that S a little too much.
I think if we ever were to do this as like a product to sell, it would have to be Lip Lords.
Right, right.
And then,
That's you only you get that.
well, it would be like, and then the only other people who get the Lip Lord thing are one, like Sponge, because he's the other person I started those videos with, and then
Oh, gotcha. Okay, right. To
and
the Lip guys.
yeah, and then two,
Sure.
make it like a prestigious thing where like you get a set of Lip Lord's bar ends or Lip Lord bar ends.
Oh yeah, that would be a cool prize for instead of like I mean the tags are cool too, but you could shoot people a bar instead or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't have that kind of postage money. But yeah, just stuff
Yeah,
like that.
you tag a lot of people.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I like completely fell out of posting on there, but it's just life is so damn busy.
That's all good. You're killing it. I mean, you got your own show going on now. You know, like I felt like that was just your beginning in a way.
Yeah, kinda. I don't know. I love posting stuff on there and getting people stoked and making people like, oh man, I want to get on that page. Like, hell yeah, you do. That was sick.
It gives me ideas for sure. Like all the time when I watch it, man, I want to try that. I remember that one.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Brandon said, get a bamboo printer. Won't that make life easier for the multicolor?
Yes,
Yes, just yes.
but so with the bamboo, it's closed source. You can't tinker with it. So that's kind of I don't know. I like messing with them too much, but maybe my crux too because I break them and I gotta fix them again. So maybe that's not a bad thing to have one that you can't mess with.
Interesting. What is there to mess with on them?
Um, well, the a lot of it's the electronics, mostly the so I'll pull the motherboard, the controller board out, and put a Raspberry Pi in there and a different controller board. Then you can control it all from your computer, and then you have this firmware that you can modify like right there on the web page, and it's just more convenient versus some of these older ones where you'd have to like flash it, you'd have to pull a card, reboot it, flash it, a bunch of pain in the butt stuff. You know, this you just change the code, hit save, and that's the biggest thing. So you can make all these software changes and just go hard on that, and a little better hardware. Um,
I gotcha.
the the hot end probably the most important part. You know, like this. So this one came with this Sprite extruder, and it wasn't that great. But like, this is what actually heats up the filament, places it. Like, this is probably the most important part of the machine.
Gotcha.
I think it's not bad to get a cheap machine and a good it's decent. This Enter 3 with a big UH2, I think, on it. And man, it's printing just as well as my Voron.
Huh. Is that kind of like how they say with photography that you can, if you have better lenses with not as good of a camera, you'll get better results than not, or better camera with not as good of lenses?
Possibly, yeah. I'm not real into photography, but that makes sense. Like your lens is probably your most important piece, you know.
Yeah, it's the glass that gets you your image. Interesting. I just try to find places and ways to parallel things so I can understand it better. Huh. So, those carbon brakes, how do you feel about those? Do you think they'd be good for like freestyles just as much as
So
Flatland?
I think they're cool. Like I definitely want to try a pair.
I'm
Um,
interested to hear how people do with them.
I would imagine they probably have a little bit more flex than like something that's like a real hard aluminum that's been forged or something, like, but of course it would. But
Yeah.
that was really cool because there were some YouTube videos going on last year about a guy was making chopped carbon fiber pieces, and we were all watching them, and I think I was talking to Maj about that too, like probably and a few other people too. Like, I think those videos inspired a lot of people, made it look pretty possible to like 3D print some kind of mold and then stuff it with carbon fiber. And
Oh, is that how that works?
yeah, so he's got a mold that he made out of, I think, plastics, a big Delrin or something. I think he made himself. I think he machined it. But then you put wax or something on there and epoxy, and you just start shoving the carbon fiber in there, and you get it saturated with the epoxy, and then clamp it, cure it, pull it
Huh.
apart.
That's
And that's
cool.
real. That's real carbon fiber. You
Yeah,
know, it's, that's cool stuff.
that's really cool. Brandon said they're sick. Mark is a mad scientist.
Yeah, his wheels. Do you see his rope spokes?
Oh, those are wild.
It was pretty cool.
The bird spokes.
He made his own.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he made
Dang.
his whole like he made a whole jig and like made his whole system of lacing it and all kinds of stuff.
Wow, so he really is a mad scientist.
Yeah,
The other Maj won't quote you a price unless you're serious.
I know he should. He should
That's
have.
pretty funny. So, I mean, speaking on that, is like custom bar ends something that you're down to do for people? You know, like you did the Tech Byco ones.
Oh
Those.
yeah, I mean that's what I really want to be doing. Like this tool's been owning me for like the last month. Like I switching the material. Like I had to change the machine all up. I was kind of running it stock with the PLA, but then I knew that I wasn't gonna get like this results with that. So it took me like a month to like rebuild this. Now it's autopilot. Now it's going. So now I can go fix that one. But that's what I want to get back to. Like I have that those Section 8 bar ends. Like I digitized the entire. I got some help on it. The design. So like I got a real small nozzle. Like I think I can make those like that full design with the blood and everything. Like it's gonna be cool.
Oh,
That's
nice.
that's one of my next ones.
That is really cool. So it's like if somebody wanted to have like their dog on their bar end,
Yeah,
I could do
easy.
that.
It's whatever you can imagine. I mean, it's whatever can fit on that little space. I mean, I think the full Section 8 uh, logo is going to be a pretty good example of like how detailed it can actually get. I probably wouldn't want to do any like much more that detailed, but most people's designs are 2, 3 colors, and pretty bold. They come out pretty good.
And you could do stuff like this embossed or extruded, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So that's bridging. So like it's face down, and then
Mm-hmm.
the letters, and then it goes across. It'll go across it. It bridges across it. So those are kind of cool. Hard to get the bridging to not droop down and look like crap.
Oh, that makes sense.
That
So,
was the trick.
like, what's the process look like for somebody who sees something like this and is like, oh, I want to get some bar ends made?
I guess just contact me, message me on Instagram and stuff. I probably have a few. I got like a list now. Like I probably got about 4 or 5 people I gotta take care of first. So there's a little bit of a wait there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm cool with doing all that stuff, especially if it's like a small. I can only do like 10 sets at once, So if it's just like one person, I mean, 3 or 4 sets, that's a lifetime supply. Like those things aren't going to break. So I like give people a couple extra sets,
Yeah.
ride, ride one, save one, give one to your friend, whatever.
Huh. That's super cool. So, uh, what, I mean, you can talk about cost stuff with people if they want to reach out to you, but do you ever feel like this could be the kind of thing that you would want to do full time if it got to that point?
I don't know. I don't know. I like my job.
Yeah.
lot of security. Like I was saying, those projects, 20-year projects, I have like 6 or 7 of them that I'm in charge of. I'm not
Jeez.
set for retirement. Like I'm not. So I like that security.
No doubt. That'd be hard to, but you
I
gotta.
always it just BMX can't afford me, you know.
Well, I mean that's also a thing too. But like a product like this, you take this thing to the freaking Shark Tank. They're like, okay, we can help you with manufacturing. This is your idea, you know.
Yeah, I mean, some funding on that would be that would be what would get that tool moving. Is that it needs money for molds and patents and
Hear that,
funding.
Mr. Wonderful? Whatever the hell they call him. Kevin. Is his name Kevin too? I think it is. There you go. His name's Kevin, your name's Kevin. Just be like, look, it's a good product. That's funny.
Did you get to use that thing yet?
I haven't yet, if I'm being honest. I kind of forgot that I had it. And then I was like, oh, wait, I do have this thing.
That was in the big box I sent you.
If I was being honest about it, I was like, I don't know how Park Tool would feel about this.
Yeah, yeah, true.
But I don't
Made it
know.
blue for you, so give you a blue one.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they would care either. Because Park Tool doesn't make a tire wedgie. So it's like, it's not a conflict of interest if they don't make a tire wedgie yet. Maybe
Right.
you should contract with Park Tool and then they
I'd
could.
love that. They could buy that from you. I'd love
Truman!
it.
Calvin. Is it
That'd be
Calvin?
easy
Did I say
for
it right?
just sell it right now.
Dude, I will send Truman a message and show him this thing. Be like, got an idea. But I don't know, man. I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I really wanted to like highlight and show people not only like what you're doing, but what is possible just with like the knowledge that you could learn from the internet.
Yeah, yeah, and well, so I mean, I had my formal training and work experience and all that, but yeah, you can. Man, I still learn stuff on. I mean, that's the best place to learn all that stuff. Um, I mean, even still, like with my day job, like I'll Google stuff, Civil 3D, this, that, like you have to, like that's video. There's just so much information out there. It's a little maybe hard to jump into like Fusion 360 or something like that, but it's such a popular platform. There's so much help and stuff, and you know,
Right, and there's
it's accessible. It's just gives you a
forums
lot of
everywhere.
capability.
There's forums where people can learn and ask questions.
Oh yeah,
YouTube videos everywhere, and it's like I love talking about these kinds of things because if there's a 14-year-old kid out there who ends up seeing this and is like, "Whoa, that's really cool." It's like you can learn this stuff by the time you leave high school and have enough knowledge even just from the modeling standpoint to be able to get a job in modeling, 3D modeling, not fashion modeling.
it's not too hard to like. You can get. I only have an associate's. Like I got an associate's in AutoCAD, a CAD design. Like then that was it. 2 years I was out and started working. Like you can get a degree pretty quick, and it's not so reliant on a degree. Like you don't need a bachelor's to get the job kind of thing. Like it's
Right.
just it's a little bit more laborish. So like you just prove you can do the work and
Exactly.
um,
It's the kind of field where, I mean, just like video, if you learn it at a young enough age or you just learn it all yourself and you can prove that you know what you're doing, with video, you've got your demo reels and stuff like that. With modeling, I'm sure there's whatever you call the resume that goes with being a 3D modeler or
maybe yeah.
whatever it might be. And for that kid who's like, oh, I don't know what I like doing, or you want to do something in the BMX world, but you don't know how or what it might be, it's like this is an avenue that, I mean, 3D modeling is something that takes, I mean, every single company who makes a part does 3D modeling.
For sure, and it's the way of prototyping right now. And it's just the best method of that. And I think, well, I talked to Ricky on the phone the other day for like an hour, and he said something about like he tells kids to be a designer. And I'm like, I agree with that. You
Yeah.
know, being a pro rider is the long shot. And but you can learn. And like we've been saying, it's just you learn and then you do it because you like it, and that's really what gets it done. Gets you your what you want.
Exactly. And I mean, for me, I found an entire career just because I liked making videos riding bikes.
Exactly.
And I'm not just talking about like YouTube. Like, yes, YouTube is pretty much what pays my bills just because my part-time job I have is also YouTube, but it's video. And I'm just making videos, shooting videos, editing videos. When it comes to design, I mean, there's so many different things. Like, I mean, you look at it like this gyro. There's so many different steps that you could learn that have nothing to do with riding bikes, but could have you in the BMX world if you learn
Right.
that.
Right. I mean, like the first thing I drew was a BMX bike, and then I was all into. Were you in on like Bike Guide forum when that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
So the George French was on there a lot, and there was some other guys. I loved learning, reading like George's posts and things. He took all this engineering stuff and made it applicable to BMX, and that was really interesting. But yeah, same thing with him. Like you go into some kind of design or engineering thing, like you're probably not going to end up in bicycles, but you can do it for fun. It's maybe
Yeah,
not what he's at. You can maybe you probably end up with a more normal civil or a land development or something like that, and that's fine. But do the stuff you like on the side still.
right. And you just never know. Like, if you use the BMX thing to learn about that.
Oh yeah, it's all everything I learn with this I feel like helps me with work and vice versa. It's all programming to me.
Exactly. And who knows, if you learn it early enough, you see, we don't see it as much on, Instagram or social media where a company is looking for a designer, like a product designer or other types of things like that. We see it a lot when it comes to like, oh, videographer or editor or something. But you never know if you learn something early enough what place you might find. And even, we don't even have to talk about early. Like, this is the kind of thing that it's out there. Zach did it. That's Zach's story. Zach didn't grow up learning how to 3D model stuff. He taught.
I've been impressed with what he's done. Like he doesn't have I don't think the same schooling I had and stuff like that. So for him to just learn how to do all that stuff because he wanted to, like that's awesome. Like that's the whole spirit of it.
Right. And so if you could just translate your BMX obsessive, like, whatever.
Out obsession outlet.
Yeah, if you can channel that into learning something, then it's a whole new thing. Do you think so? People talk about skilled trades. Do you think that at a certain point, things like video or photography or modeling and those things will be considered skilled trades?
um, well, aren't they already? Or
I
you're
don't know. Are
saying?
they not? They might be. I'm not in
Yeah,
that world.
I think it's a skill. Well, I mean, are you asking then like about like automation and AI and all that stuff?
Well, I was gonna get to that, but like my question is, things like machining or welding, those types of skilled trades that you can learn at like a.
Oh yeah, they're never going anywhere. Like those are great things to learn.
So yeah, I wonder how at one point, if it's not already, if like video and modeling and coding and things like that end up being considered skilled trades that people could learn.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially if it's just software. Like
Right.
that's just kind of up to you and what time you want to put into it.
Yeah. The AI conversation is an interesting one.
I think the word AI is kind of weird. It's kind of funny. Like it's like a new term. It's all programming. I don't know. I think it's funny that it's this new word, but
It's more of a category than anything.
yes, I don't know. To me, it's all programming. I guess they'll see what the difference is, but like like whatever we program now is different than what they programmed 10 years ago. Like it's the same programming, but yeah, automation is where the new stuff is. That's just the natural flow of it all. The more um, steps you can control at once. I mean, this is automation.
True. Yeah.
You know, it's all automation, but the more you can automate, but that's where things are going. Even in my work field, automation is like a kind of a hot thing. Being able to take all that data and do different things with it outside of the CAD programs and stuff, and merge GIS data with it and stuff like that, and write these programs and just let them run. That's you can. That's the fractal evolution of it all. Really is. And if you're, I don't know, if you're younger, that's the stuff to look into. That's what's going to get you to be like proceed or take over the next wave, the whole generation of workers and stuff. That's the new stuff. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, well, I mean that the skilled trades are something that they say is like the kind of thing that just like can't go away. Where you're custom welding this thing that's like, how long is it gonna be before a robot can come in there and analyze and then perform an action based on this knowledge all by itself?
Right. Well, I've heard. I mean, some machinists are worried about the 3D printing metal and stuff like that. And like I said, I don't think that's ever going to be as. It can never be as strong, or it's going to have slightly different properties. It's not going to work for everything. It'll be really good for some things. I saw some tube work that some Reynolds tubing or something. They had some like internal stuff in it. That's really cool.
Interesting.
But like, yeah, the raw materials and then machining them. I mean, that's still going to always be the best strength. It's going to be the best workmanship, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And at the end of the day, if you're talking about 3D printing and you're talking about CNC machining, a CNC machine isn't a lot different than a 3D printing head moving in space. So it's like there's at what
One
how,
adds and one subtracts.
right. And so like how many years is it going to take before you remove the person from the equation entirely? Like I feel like you're going to always have to have
Who,
a
who writes that program?
exactly like I feel like you're always going to have that person there who is just there in case something goes crazy.
Yeah, that all that. I'm not too worried about like AI taking over and everything. Like I said, who's going to write all that? Someone's got to write all that software. So so the jobs just shift.
Yeah.
Now everybody's a programmer. Learn to code.
Yeah, learn to code is a really good thing. And
Future.
I see people talking about AI and photography and where it's like
Stuff is creepy. This AI images.
there's definitely craziness going on there, and it's like it is a conversation to be had. I don't know if right now's the time to have that conversation because we're talking about modeling and those things. Thinking about video and AI, it's like, I mean, it's how many hundreds of years before we get to a point where like you have you don't have to actually shoot a video to do something. It's like it's
Uh, well, that would be kind of lame though.
oh yeah.
That would kind of take the fun out of it. But yeah, who knows? I mean, but I feel like the way technology works, by the time like that's possible, something else have already come out that just makes that antiquated. So whatever, that'll never happen because something you can't think of yet is going to happen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that makes
You just
total
can't
sense.
anticipate what's really going to happen by the time you really get to where you think what is, or when you get to the where you thought was the future,
That's
something else is already coming. You know.
interesting. It's like a paradox of some kind.
I mean, I think that's kind of what I've learned from my career, just with the tech wave, it's just I can see it a little different now, and you can see when a new one's coming. And
It's really
I kind of
interesting.
thought by now I would have been like pushed out of the way by like the younger kids, but luckily in civil, I guess the software kind of plateaued out and they stopped training people as much, and there's not as many CAD people that do what I do.
I gotcha.
That wave's just not there to push me out the way yet.
Well,
So
how do you even get that job? Are you just like cruising for modeling? Like, how do you find out about that? How do they put the word out there?
I fell into that one kind of. I was doing land development. I grew up in Delaware, so I was doing land development, um, and I hated it. It was fun. It was tricky. It was fun to learn, but like I don't like destroying the land. Like I grew up in Delaware, where the land is. I mean, everything's bought up and developed. And it stinks. Nobody likes that. So I I moved out to Colorado, and then have any. I didn't have a job lined up or anything. And I was out here for like 2 months and blew all my money, and I was like probably this close to having to go back home, and called a staffing agency, went on an interview and got a job. Like, and and I've been with the same people ish, like the same type of work at least, and followed the same people through different companies and stuff, and just again, just another wave.
Meant to be.
Pretty lucky with all that kind of stuff. So, like I was saying with this, like if you see the wave, you better ride it.
Yeah, it's just meant to be kind of stuff. It's like happens the way it's supposed to.
But yeah, I fell into that stuff, and it's just mine. And I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Like different companies, and then acquisitions, and at a different place altogether, but with the same people doing the same thing.
That's good. And it sounds like you just enjoy what you're doing, so I like to hear that too.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's hard. I like solving those problems. I feel like I get quite a bit of work that comes to me that's like, hey, we've had other people work on this, can't quite get what we want. Can you help us out? That's a pretty good feel good thing. That makes me feel pretty good. Makes me feel useful, wanted, needed, and all
You're like, I'm the guy.
that. Sometimes.
That's cool, man. And I realized we just went as far as we did without even talking about riding at all. So, like, maybe we should talk a little bit about riding. That's too funny. Real quick though, what did he say? This wave reminds me of the creativity of the height of mid school. Same vibe. Sick. That's interesting.
Height of mid school.
Like
Oh,
riding.
mid school of BMX mid school.
I thought you were talking about middle school. I was like, what? BMX mid school. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's your story with riding?
I need to ride more.
Yeah.
It's hot now. Yeah, I've been riding a little bit. Like I'm still learning new tricks and stuff. I'm not riding as much as I used to, but still, I still like going and working on lip tricks and stuff. That's what keeps me going.
I just thought it was cool that I went looking for the lip trick stuff, and then I see riding dirt jumps and whatever else you're riding. I was just like, oh, that's sick. I love when I see
Yeah.
well-rounded people.
It's so cool out here, and there's so much riding. Northern Colorado. I lived in Fort Collins for a little while. I'm a little south of there now, but like every town's got a skate park or two or four.
For
Trails, public trails, a bunch of places. That place in Boulder, Valmont and Boulder, like that's freaking awesome. We got some private trails down the road a little bit. And a bunch of dudes hanging out there, and um, good crew of dudes out here for sure.
It's funny. This I did a podcast last week with Traction Coffee, who's in Colorado, probably not super far from you.
Oh, okay. Where are they? Where are they?
I'd have to look that up, but
I'm not sure I've heard of them. I saw your thumbnail, but I don't know if I knew
Traction Coffee is Longmont.
Oh wow, that's really close. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Maybe you could do some 3D printing stuff for them. I'm just saying, it's like everybody work.
Dissolvable coffee mugs.
Yeah,
Just fall apart when you put coffee in them.
that's a prank.
Just coffee only.
Yeah, if you put anything other than coffee, wait, then you have to wash it somehow. Never mind. Doesn't work. Uh, but Brandon made it a little bit more clear what he was talking about. He's talking about the wave of makers and pushing boundaries with that stuff reminds him of the creativity in the height of mid school.
I can see that. That makes sense.
And it's also similar to in just the natural progression of BMX parts in general. We had that period of, oh, we're tired of these junk old thread headset whatevers and one piece bottom brackets, and then it goes to like way overbuilt once they established what came next. And then it went slowly, got lighter and lighter and lighter, and it got super, super light until it was too
Too
light,
much. Back up a little bit.
and we backed
There's
up,
the.
and that's
Balance
kind of,
of it.
that's where we are today.
Yep. And then, yeah, yeah, it's a pretty good spot. Like, you know, I do. You probably had a 40-pound bike at one point too, right? No? Oh, you're too young.
I'm only 29.
35? How was your
29.
how heavy was your heaviest bike? That's like how old are you?
Oh, let's see. Well, my heaviest bike would have been my first complete fit, and I think that one was probably like, it was less than 30.
Yeah. Yeah, 40-pound bikes are killers.
I can't even imagine. I
It's
really
fun.
can't.
Like you don't even want to. I don't even want to ride them. Like I would want to collect the mid school stuff, but it's like for why? I don't want to ride a 40-pound bike around. It's not cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either. It'd only be
That's about it.
if it was like significant in some way to me. And I didn't ride in that era, so it's like there's no significance to me of that stuff.
Right. I kind of missed the like the 80s, like that wave of like those cool bikes, like the 80s bikes and stuff. So like that stuff's a little before me, and I don't really get it. But so my time frames that mid school stuff that's all heavy, and so I don't really. I tried to collect a little bit, and then just like the parts aren't that great to collect, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, pick your pick your
I don't
poison.
ride my bikes, so I got rid of sold most of my collector pieces, and
Yeah, I gotcha. I only have a couple little things that I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Like my little devil wallet.
oh yeah.
Like, I didn't even have that when it was new. I bought it off eBay just because I got obsessed after I got a decent job in life, and I was like, oh cool, I have money. I'm just gonna buy stuff. Goes on eBay, buys 10 pairs of orchids. Yeah. Anyways,
You. That's what you do when you start getting paid.
yeah, literally, and it's like dumb because now they're all in
You got
totes.
nothing else to buy, spend your money on. You know? I remember one of my first jobs, I had a paycheck and I put it in my drawer and didn't cash it for months because I just didn't need the money because I was living at home and stuff. And I found it months later. I was cleaning out my drawer, cashed it, and they freaked out. Like what's going on? Like, I
Oh, I'm
think that's
sure.
pretty funny, you know, because I was like 16. Like I didn't need the money that bad.
They're like, hey, you can't be
You
holding.
can't do that.
That's pretty funny.
Cash the.
So, you got your bike right there. Can you show me your current bike setup? I'm curious with all the customization things you've made and done. I just want to learn. So, take me through all of the unique things about your bike.
So first, it was really the frame. I mean, that's Mike Maloney, DEFCON 4. He made this thing. It was badass. I loved it. Um, this is my stem, of course.
Which is sick. We saw one of those earlier a little bit, and it's just cool because it has those gyro tabs built into it, super thick for the stiffness.
I got mine Cerakoted. like sniper gray. Oh, everything on here is like Cerakoted. There's no paint. It's SOCOM blue,
Huh.
carbon black, black.
Is there a function behind that, or did you just like it?
I just liked it. My
Okay.
buddy does it, and it's real thin and light.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Like you can see the welds and stuff, and it's super hard. Like there's no scratches on this thing. It's ceramic. It's
Ah,
like a frying pan or something, you know.
interesting. So,
There's only one scratch where my cranks hit it a little bit, but like there's no scuffs or scratches, you know. It's looks brand new still.
what does it cost? Not at cost, but like, what does it cost if you were gonna pay someone to do that on your frame?
A little more in powder, but not too much more because they still got to blast it and then paint, you know, coat it the same way they would have if it was powder and bake it and all that stuff. I think like $200 or something like that, maybe.
Interesting. So, if a frame company wanted to Cerakote stuff instead of powder it, I wonder how much more it would make the frame. Because then they'd probably be working with a place and doing quantities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like that was cool, and it really was just, you know, my friend did it, and it was cool, and
Yeah.
paint has weight, you know, got to be lightweight.
Ah,
Uh,
it's lighter.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, a little bit. Paint doesn't weigh a whole lot, but powder can add up. But yeah, so I got like carbon headset cap. I got like this Frankenstein gyro. I got the steel lower piece with the aluminum upper.
In the
Because
Odyssey one?
yeah, I Frankenstein them together because the bottom piece was flexing. So I got the steel piece down here,
But
aluminum
you
up here.
and you do you still have the upper steel part?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, that's crazy.
So then it was RNC cranks when they like I. This has to be one of the first ones he sold, like first 10 or so. I don't know. I think I jumped on him pretty quick. Um, Profile spline drive. Um, I need the spline drive because I can't get my spacing right without it.
Oh, I understand. Because you want to
Um,
put spacers on the outside of your sprocket.
right.
Yeah,
Because I it.
I have that on my bike, but I use bolt drive, and I just use like washers on the outside of the sprocket on both bolt
Uh,
and on spindle.
I might try that sometime at some point. Um,
It works. You just, I mean, and you know, being a person who's kind of like, you really want to have it a certain way, you have to have those exactly the same width on both the sprocket bolt and the spindles so that
oh
they're
yeah.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah, your sprocket will wobble.
Yep.
That's no good. Um, but yeah, then man, my favorite part on this whole bike is the carbon fiber rims.
Oh, which ones did you get?
These are the Alienation ones. I got tie spokes. These are Cerakoted, aluminum nipples, BSD hub. That planetary hub that's just the way to go, man. Those things feel so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Disappointed you don't have the alienation one yet, but I get it.
it wasn't out yet.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm not
But,
upset.
so then like tie bars, tie forks, uh,
Jeez.
um, Far East Cycles made those, and they're freaking awesome. These guys killed it. Like I worked with some other people to get these made, and they just honestly just couldn't do it. They weren't capable.
Gotcha.
And, man, they crushed it first try. Removable mounts.
Huh. Is that a product that they just produce now?
I think. I mean, they're kind of like custom order,
Okay.
but yeah, you can get whatever bend you. I drew these. I modeled the bars.
Really?
Tightened up the box, made this as tight as I could, gave myself as much flat as I needed for my levers
Yep.
to the width. The first pair of bars I never had to cut. And then so my theory I love these tie bars a lot. My theory on that is that with steel bars, I would bend them a little bit. Like you get like a little bend 1 degree or so, and it just ruins the bars. Well, like the titanium can bend farther and go back.
Right.
So like, not bent these. Like it still gets chucked off like quarter pipes, and still
Yeah.
falls on ice picks and smashes across the ground. I still haven't bent yet.
Wow.
Like maybe that wouldn't hold up for someone jumping off of roofs and stuff, but
Right.
that's pleasant kind of surprise for that.
I
You don't
mean,
want to spend that much on bars and then have them bend right away.
right. And I mean, the alternative to that is like the bars I ride, the nowhere ones, they use super thick tubing and those don't bend, but it's because they're super thick tubing and they're naturally just going to be a little bit heavier because of that.
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh, and then you feel that weight that you drop up here, man. You feel it pretty good.
that's so wild. What levers are those?
My brakes are all kink stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because it was I just liked the design. Really, it felt like it had more tinker ability. Like I could tinker with it a little more.
Well, it's all like modular too with their setups, where it's like you use one part of it, you can use a different part for another thing, depending upon if you have a gyro or straight cable or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, it's that forged 7,000 series stuff, so it's super stiff. But yeah, my brake line is just it's so rigid.
I would
Like there's
love to feel your brakes at some point.
like like there's not much there.
Dang, that's sick. And it's probably in your pads compressing.
Yeah, pretty much. That's about the only.
That is
But yeah,
awesome.
the wheel set was the best though. Like so, this is my stimulus check bike. this is my this is my COVID build.
Okay.
So I got to remind myself and maybe some other people sometimes that I didn't just buy all this. Like this was this is my government bike.
You're still paying for that bike right now.
We're all paying. This is everyone's bike.
Yeah, don't say that.
It's a taxpayer's bike.
Somebody see you at a skate park, be like, "Hey, you said it was mine."
It's mine too.
It's too funny. So I'm gonna try. All right. So let me run through again. You got tie bars, forks. Your frame is normal.
It's the only steel part on the bike is the frame.
So
Like a carbon seat post, carbon rims, almost everything. All the bolts are tie.
do you have tubolitos too? I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, they're cool. I like
All right,
those.
let me think here. I'm gonna try and guess. All right, chat. Everybody in here, I want you to guess
Oh, you're
how
gonna
heavy
guess
his
the
bike
weight?
is, and I'm gonna
Oh,
try
I
and
got a
guess
scale. We
too.
can weigh it.
We you can't tell me though.
All right.
I figured you'd just know.
It's too many numbers to remember. I got an idea.
Okay. Well, we can't know yet. Anybody who wants to guess, I'm curious. I'm trying to think through it all here. I want to be super specific. What is your scale measuring in here?
It'll be pounds.
Pounds and then ounces?
Uh, tenth hundredths of
Okay.
pounds and.
Dang, Jeff, you went high. You went way high, Jeff. My bike weighs 25. His is going to be way less than 23. 21.4, 19 pounds, 3 ounces, 19. I'm going to say, someone said 21. I'm going to say 16 pounds, 9 ounces.
I wish.
Oh,
No,
okay,
I
heavier.
wish. No.
Hold on.
21.
Oh,
4.
21, 3, 4. Wow. So DFLJ said 21. Then OG BMX 420 said 21.4.
You
This is
use it real close.
Price is Right rules. You're out. Yeah. These rules, you're in. Man, I thought it would have been way lighter than that. My bike is 25-ish.
You run 2 pegs?
2 steel pegs, gyro. I have normal forks, heavy bars. I guess I do have folding tires. My front tire I don't think is folding, but I don't remember. It might be.
Well, my hubs are probably there's still some weight to drop on the hubs. Like they still got the steel axles. I got a shadow front hub, so it's got like the steel female,
Yeah.
and then the solid or the hollow steel axle on that free coaster.
I still have that titanium axle for the original Free Knight that could be modified to fit the newer ones. I just haven't.
That'd be sick. I wish I could get someone to make me a tie axle for kit for my bike.
I got lucky because it's a friend of my dad's who like he did it for me and only charged me like I don't think I gave him. He asked for a whole $100,
Nice.
but it was for the original Free Knight. And then I haven't broken an axle in the Alienation one yet. So like I don't know, I haven't felt a need to swap it out or anything.
Yeah, same. Like it's just. I mean, they don't. If someone made a tie axle, I'd buy it, but
Right, exactly. Which someone
feel.
should. I went through like the ringer trying to find out if any of the tie axles that have existed in history would fit that hub because it's just like
Yeah.
it's a normal, off the internals of it, and the spacing and things, it feels like it's just a normal off the shelf axle.
Right.
But I
But
could
usually,
not.
yeah, usually the bearing spacing is really specific, and that's the bummer.
Yeah, so I haven't looked super hard or tried anything, but I haven't found one yet. Hmm.
Steel ones are good. There's a good hubs though. Like I had I had a fully loaded Z coaster and everything, and all the other ones, man. I got Nankai's. I got my friend had a old Primo son of a bomb,
Yeah.
like back in the day, and stuff. I've tried them all. Probably racked my knees on every single one of them too. But then until this, like I couldn't really get used to the Z coaster. I liked it a lot, but then as soon as I got like these planetary ones, it just felt right, Like it didn't catch me out. It never made me feel like I was gonna skip my pedals or anything.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like showing these when I can because it's cool. And for anybody who has never heard of a planetary free coaster, how are you on my channel right now without hearing about a planetary free coaster? I don't know how that's possible. Look them up. They're cool.
I like that Alienation one. I'll get one of those next.
Hell yeah. Thanks. So, anyways,
Your idea with the square edges and stuff.
yeah.
That that.
So what I drew was like because I was going for. Have you heard of persistence of vision? It's like a concept. There's persistence of vision displays where it's just a row of LEDs, and they're say they're on this pen. Then there's like an L type deal, and then a center point, and this is what's stationary, and the LEDs rotate like this,
Okay.
so that it extends them out a little bit, and then those LEDs will change colors, and they can make a display
Right.
based
Okay.
on the concept of persistence of vision, in that our eyes take a second to process things before, like in real time it might not be there, but we see things, and the persistence of vision. So I wanted to design something that utilized that in a hub. So I was thinking like if we did something that had like a candy cane type style to it, where it's like a spiral, so that when it's rotating it might do something.
Oh yeah.
And so from there Zach saw what I drew and was like, oh, what about this? And then made it straight instead of being rotated. And then the idea of putting the ALN on there, when you rotate it, it kind of looks like a Marvel, beginning of a Marvel movie with the comic flashes of,
Oh, okay.
and when it's spinning, you can see the ALN flashing like a comic book kind of,
Oh, gotcha. That's cool.
and it's just neat. So that's where that originally came from.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, That.
Thanks. I was trying to do something cool with it, where it's like more than just a spinning hub with a logo on it.
Yeah. And then those sharp edges are pretty unique looking. Well, not
It,
sharp, but those flat edges.
yeah, the polished one just shines really cool in the light.
Oh
Yeah. Anyway, does it make a hologram of Tupac?
yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So, Is there any other aspects of like the stuff that you do that we hadn't really talked about when it comes to all these things?
Oh man, I'm not sure.
Or any of the stuff on your table that you wanted to show that you didn't get a chance to?
Oh, here we go. This is fun. So I was printing Zach's pedals, and my friend Gabe wanted a pair, so I can't just print Gabe like the normal thing. I gotta.
That's funny.
But what's cool with these is I didn't realize right away, but you
Oh,
can
that's funny.
like I don't know if I can show this very well. Like it, man. Within the light though, like it really. I don't know if that's working very well.
I can see it.
But that was fun to model those, and I put Zach on there.
That's funny.
Just it was fun to like figure out how to like turn an image into a little model and put it on there. Just stuff like that, like doing silly stuff like that to learn, you know.
Hmm.
You know.
So, what's in your future with this stuff? You gonna keep doing it?
Oh yeah, because I like it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Just keep doing it. See what happens.
If tire wedgie just becomes this super demanded thing, are you gonna buy like four more of those so you can be running them at the same time?
I'd like maybe. I still don't think that's really gonna like give a ton of capability. You know, like we'll see. I mean, that's a great problem to have. You know, if you can't keep up.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, if it costs pennies on the dollar to make them and it rightly sells for 20 bucks, how many of those do you make before you can buy another $100 ender? You right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's the way I look at things like that.
Well, yeah. So that one will probably turn into a tool machine too. And I'll have two of them
Nice. Just
because
kind of
that's fun. That was the original hobby was making the machines and making them work and tuning them and you know so. But now I kind of need one to keep it running.
right. I keep seeing enders show up on Facebook Marketplace like randomly around here, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't have enough time to get into that, but it's cool.
Well, that would be my suggestion, I guess, for if someone wanted to start cheap though. A refurb like comgrow.com, you get a refurb for like $100. Just throw it together and start using it. You know, like you're gonna have to learn a lot anyway. Um, it's gonna make you want to learn how to model. Like you'll have to at least know how to slice the stuff. You'll have to get some software. There's a lot to learn, you know. Um, but that gets you started, especially if you're just printing with PLA. You know, I wanted to print with different materials and stuff, so I didn't want to just only have an ender like a stock one anyway. But yeah, a stock ones like they're fine. Print, you can download stuff and print it. You know, like that's it. It could be that simple if you wanted it to be. You know.
That's the beauty of it, is that you get that thing set up and working, and then you can just download stuff and print it.
Yeah, and that Thingiverse community is huge. Like there's so many cool things on there, and then a lot of it is parts for the machines themselves. You know, so it's all self-replicating, you know, that kind of stuff. But so that's a lot of what I print is parts to make other machines or replace parts on the machine itself and
That's cool.
different mats and things like that.
That's cool. So, like, if somebody wanted to buy Tire Wedgie, where would they
Yes.
go, or follow the stuff you've got going on, see things? Where do people go to find all this stuff?
It's pretty much all Instagram right now. Wooder Designs on Instagram, Wooder BMX, the hashtag. Find all that stuff. Um, there's just not a lot to buy right now. Like I'm
You're
one at a
making
time.
stock.
So I'll put them on there when I get them, you know. And um, I mean, yeah, I had a lot of people ask me like, I'm just, I wish I had a better answer, really, you know, like
Right.
so.
And if somebody wanted to get some bar ends made, they could hit you up on there and get on the list.
Right. Yeah, so I do have a web store. There's a link on the Instagram. Tire wedgies are sold on the site. They're all sold out now, but you just keep checking. I'll post whenever I put some up there. Um, bar ends. There's a couple Wooder bar ends still on the store. They're cheap. I don't know if somebody wants to grab them. Um, they're ready to go. But custom bar ends, like maybe just DM me or something. Yeah, try to work that out. I said I got a little list already, so get back.
Happens when you're badass, make cool stuff. Just saying. All of the info though is in the description, and it's cool. It's cool to see what you got going on. I love whenever people who just love what they're doing start to succeed, even if you never anticipated for that to happen or tried to make it be a thing. It's just cool to see it becoming a thing.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I would be thinking it's cool too if it wasn't me. You know, I'd be fanning out. But
Hell yeah, man. Well, we've
the
been
other friends
going.
making stuff.
What's that?
I like all my other friends that are making stuff. You know?
Yeah, just like to see people succeed. It's badass. But we've been going for 2 hours here. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
That was cool. That was quicker. That was a quick 2 hours. I didn't think we were gonna talk that long. That's cool.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, was it?
Yeah. That was
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, check out Wooder Designs and hit the links in the description and get on the list for some bar ends or wait till you see a tire wedgie because Jeff Mead says it'll change your life. That being
just
said, yeah, Jeff's awesome. But on that note, thank you everyone, and thank you for doing this. I know you were kind of like nervous
thanks,
about
man.
it.
Thank you. It was. This is cool.
Yeah.
I've been talking to you forever, or texting you forever, so it's cool to finally talk once. And really, like going out there, Ohio, or like where you're from, like that's kind of high on my list of some riding spots. Like it'd be cool to come out there sometime if I ever get a chance.
All I'm saying is trails, not even 15 minutes that way. Double coping, 4-foot spine, right over there. Lip Lord Skate Park, not even 15 minutes, and not even 10 minutes from the trails.
Nice. Yeah, you got a nice spot.
A million other places to ride. Look up the Stoke Run spot that just opened back up, the old Ohio Dreams indoor and outdoor skate park, and we're fixing the trails. You got a lot of options if you come out here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So on
Maybe
that,
some.
it'll happen. Maybe someday. On that note, though, I'm going to let everybody go here. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see y'all tomorrow morning for the news.
All right, see you.
Jeff Mead said, Wooder trip, do it.